So, you know, I was thinking about this before, and I'll simply say that up until an hour ago, I wasn't planning on being the panel, so I wasn't entirely prepared. My colleague in crime, Matt, is up in his room someplace not feeling well. But you know, thinking about this, and we kind of look at HPC in the classical market pyramid side, and by the way, I have no slides, and by definition, anything I show would be marketing slides. So from a market period, so you know, we're always looking at how we're impacting the market from the standpoint of sort of up on the pyramid of how we're advancing the technologies and so on to build bigger and better and faster systems and so on, as per the ECP presentation earlier this morning. But we're also looking at from the standpoint, how do we broaden the market? So, you know, I like to think of it, how do we make HPC both more powerful as well as more pervasive? And so thinking in those terms, I sort of was thinking, you know, what trends might we think about and what might impact from both of those perspectives. And the first one that came to mind, and the presentation just before from what would have been my colleague if I had stayed at HP, around machine learning and so on, is certainly one of the areas that came to mind immediately. And we're seeing machine learning as a technology and everything that comes with it is, and with, you know, the movement into analytics and more data-centric HPC and high-performance data analytics, nod to Steve, is really creating a dynamic that's broadening what we think of as HPC. And, you know, we're seeing it simply from the broad nature of the customers that we as Dell EMC talk to, are asking us about HPC who never would have spelled it before, because they're starting to see applications of analytics and machine learning in everything from marketing, fraud detection, certainly in medical applications, and so on. It's just, you know, popping up in all sorts of interesting places. It's great, Arno is here in his former life at PayPal and some of the things that they did around fraud detection. You know, at the end of the day, it's machine learning. And that is creating a whole set of new application areas that's expanding the market, and that expansion is, I think, very disruptive to everything that we do. Simple fact that we're talking about it so much, it's clearly disrupting us. The other thing in terms of the performance angle on that I thought about was, you know, it goes alongside with that a little bit is what we're seeing as the change in the memory hierarchy of the systems that we're developing. So I'm old enough to know, to have worked on systems that basically had a processor, had memory, and a floppy disk, you know, with nothing else, no cache, no nothing in between. So yes, I did know about Robbie the robot, by the way. And, you know, now, of course, you know, there's multiple levels of cache, there's, you know, multiple levels of main memory. We're starting to see things like, you know, 3D XPoint coming out, NVMe coming out, and so on. On the storage side, it's not only rotating media, it's also SSDs and so on and so forth. So we're seeing the multiple levels of memory hierarchy that is changing the way we deal with volumes of data that has to happen in order to be able to handle the more data-centric sets of HPC workloads that we're doing. That is also changing the way that we build bigger and better and faster systems, not only to just do compute, but to handle the enormous volumes of data. So, you know, we look at it obviously in our new entity having EMC and Dell coming together, that, you know, that starts really creating some opportunities to create a whole new wave of HPC systems that would be able to provide the capability to manage volumes of data that, you know, we couldn't conceive of before. And again, disrupting the industry in the process. So I think I'm early for a change. That's because I had no slides.